Hey guys, I'm Andrew McComb and welcome to Web3 TV. In today's video, I'm with Nikolas, the founder and CEO of Utiliti, and we're going to discuss the short, medium and long-term business use cases for Web3 and how they can help support and stimulate your Web3 journey. But before we do, make sure you register to watch every episode of Web3 TV here, where we share inspiring stories of all things Web3, making a difference to the world. All sorted? Okay, let's go. Welcome back, guys. In today's interview, we are going to speak to Nikolas from Utiliti again. We mentioned this in our prior interview with him about the evolution of Utiliti in his interview. If you missed that, you can watch that here. And in today's episode, we're going to discuss successful business use cases in the Web3 space. So, Nick, have you got any good examples so far of successful applications?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing is sort of broken down into time horizons, right? So it's like short-term quick wins for businesses, medium term, and then sort of what's coming in the long term. And I can touch on all of them pretty quickly. In the short term, a lot of what we're seeing, digital loyalty and gaming, right? So like in gaming, you're seeing digital assets for game studios, skins in game, items in game, weapons in game. These are becoming NFTs so that game studios can compete in the marketplace for players a little bit better, right? The value proposition for players is basically like, hey, come to this world where you own tangibly the items that you're earning in game. And for the game studios, these businesses that run these games, these corporations, the value proposition is, hey, now there's no longer a black market place or black market for player assets, right? It's like they're able to claim a percentage of resale fees on every player asset transaction. And so it ends up, more friendly for the users, attracts more users, and ends up another revenue stream for the games. Likewise, digital loyalty, right? Like what we're seeing a lot of, especially in sort of luxury, right? The French brands, especially, and then the larger retailers in North America that we work with, right? They're pursuing NFTs and digital assets as a way to relate better to their customers. I think the smartest implementations that we're working on, especially with, I'll name them in a future interview, but a large multinational retailer is they're putting the NFTs on a mountain, making their best customers climb to go get them. Then they know reliably that the people holding these NFTs are their best customers. And then it's, unlimited options what you can do once you have this group of the 10% of people who produce 50+% of your revenue, trackable to the extent that they hold these assets, which you're able to see live on chain. So you give them offers, you give them discounts, you send them on-chain messages to go claim bonuses, you give them rewards for going in the store, you invite them into a community, right? You pick them up out of your tech stack, and magically you have the world's best customer focus group that you didn't even pay for, right? Saves you millions of dollars, and you can understand better from the 10% of people who produce, again, 50+% of your revenue, right? What do they want from you, right? And so that's near term, right? It's very much digital loyalty. It's very much gaming, right? It's very simpler. I'm a company, I give you NFT, right? I'm a company, I give you digital collectible, right? And that's what we're going to see, I think, for the next 6 months to 1 year. It's going to be hallmarked by this sort of, simpler NFT implementation. I think in the medium term, what we'll see is because this technology allows anything digital, anything ethereal to be turned into an instrument that people can own, right? That people can transact freely, that people can, build on top of, right? We start to see disruption in any area where there is non-value added middlemen. So the beauty of the blockchain and the beauty of some of this decentralized technology is that much like the internet, right? These things that are sort of digital means of value transfer, right, screen to screen, can be fleshed out and are remaining open, right? So now a marketplace is basically just a service, right? The ability to transfer NFTs or assets back and forth is just a service like the internet that you can tap into however you want to, right? Because it's all open. And so, it starts to disrupt travel, entertainment, ticketing, booking, hotels, because now in an open marketplace, right, where given that these are digital assets that people can own, if they're owning them on the blockchain, right, there's no need for some third party to be facilitating asset transfer outside of a Web2 database, let's say. It's just open on the blockchain, able to be traded freely, right? And so I think the the people knocking on the door of this are the people who will win in these categories over the next 3-4 years, right? And we're working with a South American airline who are printing all their tickets as NFTs, and then instead of selling them to a third party to mark them up, right, they're just facilitating asset transfers in a marketplace, right? No longer do they have to facilitate cancellations or lose margin to a third party, right? They're just simply owning all of those transactions, facilitating them, and then their users are happier because they pay less, right? It's removes value capture and sort of the death of the friction adding value extracting middlemen, right? And that's medium term. I think in the long term, right, you get to a place where it's sort of hard to think about what this could be, but I have a couple ideas that I would posit, right? I think everybody was well aware today that sort of holding PII, consumer data, on your balance sheet as a corporation is a scarier and scarier prospect with regulation, right? And so I think given that data is another digital asset, it's an intangible, ethereal thing that now consumers can own through this technology, right? Consumer ownership of this data and then voluntary sharing of this data with corporations mean that corporations can serve offers and unlocks and bonuses and newsletters and whatever they would otherwise carry somebody's email address or home address on their database for, without having to know any of that information, right? It's all public, it's all available. The relevant information as far as transaction history is there, right? You know who your best customers are and who, your partner's best customers are to serve them offers in an opt-in way without having to even know who they are, right? You can give them things simply by virtue of what their transaction history is without having to know their name. I think that's sort of like, a little bit further out, right? Digital assets, blockchain, these Web3 technologies, it unlocks the future of CRM, right? Customer relationship management for businesses. And I think, it is a grail amount of data for a business to be able to have being made open and voluntarily shareable by consumers, right? And then I think as we progress, right, it's like you assume, to the extent that this technology empowers, the creation of platforms that are more user friendly, I would assume that any sort of like social platform, creator platform, bank, right, any of these sort of businesses where the value of the business is created by a network of users sitting on top of code, doing things, transferring assets, sharing posts, right? All of those are likely replaced with open protocols and foundations that maintain the underlying assets, right? So, if you can own your social graph, you pick it up and take it to the one that the social platform that's most friendly. And each individual social platform has less power, and you as a user have more power, right? Same with banking, same with any other platform like that. And then a long term, right? You assume the whole world ends up on chain and real time tracked, right? To the extent that it is able to benefit users for doing so, and then you're receiving payment for your work by the second. You're paying for things like a car lease or settling an insurance claim real time, right? As soon as an issue happens, right? Your medical records are open and shareable from one doctor to another in a second, so you can get the best care possible, right? It's like anywhere where a digital asset could be made into a commodity to the benefit of users, right? Such that it's able to be moved back and forth, right? It is made into a commodity and they're transferred and moved around real time. So it's interesting, right? It's a whole big, very disruptive future ahead of us, I think, which has been clouded by very in the moment sensational talk about financial instruments and monkey JPEGs and scams and, big haired vegan robber barons, things like this.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So obviously the current market, call it, is potentially tarnishing Web3, but what you're essentially alluding to with the successful business cases is if you've got an open mind and you're an entrepreneur, a creator, or even a developer, or even an artist, and you feel there's a way to own your digital sovereignty a lot more and you believe you can monetize that, where would they start, Nick? With Utiliti?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk to people, right? Like, I've said this many times, but my door is always open, right? Like most of the way we started working with some of the larger brands where they're household names is I just simply said, hey, let's talk, right? It's like happy to talk to people all day long about how they can think about this technology in a way that they can use it and have it be useful for them and their customers, drive their business forward. I think that's like, some of the most interesting conversations I get to have on a day-to-day basis are with SVPs of digital experience at multinational retailers who want to talk about how do we leverage NFTs to better understand our customers and to better reward them for the behaviors we want to encourage, right? It's fascinating. But aside from me, right, like I'm not the end all, like who am I, right? Not special. I think, there's a wealth of information out there. There's plenty of great people building very cool things in this space. Avery Yakanini at Vayner3, I point to Max Comparetto at Salesforce. I point to quite a few other people, Michael Littman and Media Monks, right? There's a lot of people out there publishing thought leadership content about how businesses can activate. Oh, I forgot to mention Brightloom, right? Nick Noyle at Brightloom and Kelly Zimmerman at Brightloom, right? These are companies that have moved forward a lot faster than other people in understanding how to implement this technology. Now they're helping people full-time think about it, right? And so, to the extent that we end up infrastructure powering all of it, it's awesome, but I'm not here to do anything but try to help people think about it. And so I think that's a good place to start.
Nice. Well, guys, if you're a pioneer in this space, you're a creator, you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, and you want to do something, obviously check out Utiliti. Check out some of the names that Nick's mentioned. Nick, as always, thanks for coming on the show. Such a wealth of wisdom, a Web3 wizard, as we often call you. Mate, I'm sure we'll see you again in a few episodes' time.
Happy to be here. That wizard comment is timely. We're releasing a very splashy service called Contract Wizard, a new product under the hood that sort of changes the game at the intersection of artificial intelligence and Web3. So I'll take the wizard claim, but I'll give it away to the Contract Wizard when we release it. Thank you for having me, as always.
Well, there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Web3 TV episode. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. And remember, if you'd like to watch every episode of Web3 TV, visit the link below or subscribe to our channel. And remember to hit the bell icon so that we can notify you every time a new episode is released. I'm Andrew McComb, and I look forward to sharing more inspiring Web3 TV episodes, making a difference to the world. I'll see you soon.